Bear down, Chicago Bears. Guess what? The entire weekend, when we thought that the Chicago Bears were trying to analyze what was going on with their quarterback situation and decide whether or not Caleb Williams or Drake May or Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, but let's face it, it's Caleb Williams. They were trying to figure this out, but at the same time, what they were trying to do was find a trade partner for Justin Fields, with Ryan Poles now famously saying, we're going to do right by Justin Fields. Well, it turns out that there is no doing right by Justin Fields at this point because the market is now drying up. Turns out the Atlanta Falcons are going all in on Kirk Cousins now. They're willing to offer him a max contract to come in and be their quarterback. And then the Raiders look like they're going in another direction, and it looks like the Steelers want to stick with Kenny Pickett. So at best, you're now looking at Justin Fields as a backup for some team somewhere, right? That's what doing right by Justin Fields represents. Now, if you like Justin Fields and you don't like that circumstance, if you like Justin Fields on the Chicago Bears, then you're probably infuriated by the news that you're getting. But if you're a Chicago Bears fan, Ryan Poles is doing his best to make this a better team. Does that mean that he's not acting like a clown right now? No, it doesn't, because he can't do anything about what he would like to do. What he would like to do is take care of Justin Fields. What he would like to do is take care of the Chicago Bears. What he would like to do is take care of everything all around. However, the growing sentiment amongst the league continues to be that the Bears have to take Caleb Williams at the number one pick. That's the consensus right now. And there are a lot of people who used to be on board with, let Justin Fields run it back one more time, who are now moving on and asking different questions. So, let's break down exactly what it is that happened at the scouting combine. By the way, Xavier Worthy, shout out to Xavier Worthy. He shows up on one of my drafts today. I did two. He shows up on one of my drafts today as a suitable replacement. And by the way, when I did this, I got to be honest with you, I couldn't find. I looked at, first of all, NBC Chicago did what I thought was the worst draft possible. I had never seen one that I thought was like, oh my god, like, not that you're destroying the team, by the way. I don't want to say that in any way that you're destroying the team, but you're destroying the team at this point. In my opinion, by doing what you have to do right now, I feel very bad about the opportunity that the Bears have, the draft picks that are available. If to me, it's what you're giving up uh, in order to get Caleb Williams. What you're giving up to me sounds or seems like it's frightening. It's frightening. And I'm going to show you why. I'm not going to, I'm not going to say you can't get Caleb Williams. I actually did try a couple times. All of my drafts today, both of them were about taking Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. I was just trying to get like a good option and trying to make myself feel good about the team and the way that the team was built. And I couldn't get there, which means that free agency becomes very important. So before we get into it, there's just, it doesn't make any sense to, and I'm going to show you guys. They're all talking about it, but for real, my heart wants me to stick with Justin Fields. Everybody else is telling me it's going to have to be Caleb Williams. I don't know what Ryan Poles is going to do, but I think it was also important to point out. You know what? We're going to talk about it because it's in the stories. So let's break it down after the jump.
I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting sideways. Pass the bottle back my way. Everybody's getting sideways.
All right, guys. So here's the deal. Justin Fields trade rumors came up. The Bears spent most of the combine week gauging interest in the quarterback. Now, what they were doing is they were looking for a trade partner because they're trying to, quote unquote, allegedly, this is allegedly, they're allegedly looking for a trade partner for Justin Fields. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, the way that says this, Bears spent most of the combine week gauging interest in the quarterback. And what it says is Rossini, which is Diana Rossini of The Athletic, reported that belief outside of Chicago is that the Bears are looking to make a quarterback change, which is hurting the team's leverage and producing a very soft market for Justin Fields. It was hard to find strong interest from any team. One NFC general manager explained the problem with the current timing. When people know you're getting rid of something, they don't pay as much for it. Ahead of the NFL Combine, NFL Bears general manager Brian Poles didn't commit to one clear path at quarterback. He said he wants to do right by Justin in the event Fields' time in the Windy City is over. Now, you would assume that means that in the event, and by the way, he's not tipping his hat, right? He's saying that, I don't know. If you decide to draft a quarterback, what is your motivation to trade Justin Fields before free agency? And Ryan Poles says, if we go down that road, I want to do right by Justin. No one wants to live in gray. And that's where Justin Fields is living right now. He doesn't really have a choice. But Jeff Howe attempted to get a picture of how the value of the 24-year-old could have changed. Says the majority opinion is the Bears could corral a second or third round pick, but there are some variations in those responses. One executive said he'd be worth a second rounder or its equivalent in a value of a third or fifth round pick. However, last night there was a report that said that now there were no second round picks for Justin Fields, that at best the Bears had some mild interest in a third round conditional pick or a fourth round pick. This is a situation where they know that, look, Ryan Poles basically fleeced the Carolina Panthers. We all know that. He got the first overall pick, he got DJ Moore. It's just a fantastic trade, right? Did a great job, right? Now, what they're looking to do, the NFL is basically just trying to claw that back. You know what I mean? They're absolutely trying to claw that one back. I think. I think. John Post says complete nonsense. Poles is not shopping Justin. He is not stupid. I don't think that's true. I don't know that he's shopping Justin Fields. I'm sure that he's gauging if there's any interest. And most of the people that have said this have said people are approaching him about it. And what we're now seeing, by the way, let me point something out here. And I think this is important. And before we go further, if the one team that we thought was interested, there were three teams really: the Raiders, the Falcons, and the Steelers all seem to be interested, right? None of them are showing open interest in Justin Fields. All of them are looking at other quarterbacks. Now, for me, I'm not one of these guys on TV whose job it is to tell you what you want to hear. My job is to tell you what I see, right? All of this stuff tells me that the Bears want to draft Caleb at number 1, that they want to move on from Justin Fields, right? But I'm getting my stuff from the people who are trying to clickbait you, right? But let's break down when Ryan Poles says, if we're going to do something, we're going to do right by Justin. And I believe him and I believe that Ryan Poles is a man of his word. And by the way, you can't do anything. You can't do anything for, you can't promise Justin Fields. He's going to try to do right by him. Right. That to me doesn't sound like he's not that to me sounds like he's not really talking about trading Justin Fields. Now, the report comes out that says that they spent most of their combine gauging interest in the quarterback. Now, are they reaching out or is somebody reaching out? Well, the only thing that we've heard was that Atlanta reached out and had an inquiry and that the Steelers reached out and had an inquiry. We don't know anything about the Raiders. So that means that the Chicago Bears weren't actually out here saying, hey, you want to buy Justin Fields? They were out here just trying to do some analysis on this draft and try to figure out the best player that they could get, if that makes sense. And now it doesn't, I don't think that they're like this feels like they want Caleb, but I don't think that's right. I get the sense here that they're looking for a reason to hold on to Justin Fields, if that makes sense. I don't know that they are. I don't know the internal workings. I know that everybody here has decided, and by here I mean, everybody in the media, they've decided. By the way, hit the like button on your way in, if you will. Helps push me up in the algorithm tremendously. By the way, but you know, if there's no takers, right? Here's what it is. My taker is the Atlanta Falcons. And what happened last week? You ready to go home? Remember this? If you guys remember, there was a video last week by Justin Fields' manager with Justin dancing in his, I want to say his kitchen, and the guy at the end of it says, "You want to go home? You ready to go home?" or something like that. Well, where's home? Home is either Chicago or Atlanta. Now we know that Chicago is kind of up in the air at this moment. We don't really have clarity around what's happening. So by default, Atlanta becomes home. Well, then Atlanta says, "Oh yeah, we're all in on Kirk Cousins." That's what they're telling everybody. If they're all in on Kirk Cousins, then that means that Justin Fields was not part of that. And were you ready to go home? None of that stuff is right. Unapologetic Truth says he didn't say that. Okay, I saw the video. Was it a doctored video? If that's the case, then okay. And yeah, not worth it. Like, dude, not just so not worth it. Like I would have a stroke if the Chicago Bears paid $26 million to a receiver right now when they like it would be phenomenally irresponsible and stupid to me to do that. Um okay, so I heard you ready to go home. And people told me that he said ready to go home. I don't know if that was the case, but I heard clearly that it was ready to go home towards the end of it. So I went with what people were saying, and I listened to it a couple times. It's not like I listened to it one time, like, okay, that's what he said. Somebody told me that that's what he said. So if that's not the case, then that's what to me matters. So it is possible, entirely possible, that everything here is just absolute BS, right? That there's no market. They're not really shopping Justin Fields. It is entirely possible that this is all just a big facade by the media to get clicks, to get likes, and stuff like that. It's kind of like when some asshole on YouTube puts a clown nose on Ryan Poles' face just to get people to get in here and do wild random shit like, "I just unsubscribed because you made Pole out to be a clown." And to be fair, like, I don't think he's a clown. I did it for clickbait because to get people paying attention and clicking means that people are paying attention. And I just need you to pay attention to me. And if you like what you hear, then you continue watching. And if you don't like what you hear, you don't continue watching. But when I put something like that out there, that gives you a chance to be like, "Oh, I wonder what this guy's saying about Ryan Poles. He better be right." So we'll see what happens, right? But I don't know that this is real. I don't think that this is true. Now, here's the other part, because there was more to it. Um, um, there was uh, there was a lot of different buzz, and the idea here, the consensus for a lot of people at the combine was that Caleb Williams made the decision a lot more difficult by not being a psycho flake, right? I mean, that's really kind of what we've been looking for out of Caleb Williams, is that he would just kind of be like, just kind of aloof and weird. And we heard reports coming out. Remember the reports. Remember the reports that were coming out. The reports that were coming out were that he didn't get along with his teammates, which they refuted. That he didn't invite his team to his birthday party, which they're not his friends; they're his coworkers. And the Bears have never dealt with, and nobody's ever dealt with somebody like Caleb Williams before. He doesn't want to give out his exams to anybody but the people who are going to draft him at that number one pick. He's decided he's the number one pick. Like, there's no debate over this. He's the number one pick, and anybody who wants him is going to get that number one selection in order to make that. That's really what it's been. But the media kind of changes the narrative to suit the story, right? So every time you look at the television in the Indiana Convention Center, the talking heads were debating the Bears' options at quarterback. Every time you ran into a coach, scout, executive, personnel, everybody was talking about what the Bears are going to do. Rarely did the discussion center on the number 9 pick in the draft or the Bears free agent target. It was all about Caleb Williams, and players expect to be the number 1 overall pick for Ryan Poles and the Bears at number 1. Not sure about that, but I'm sure that Caleb Williams probably number 1 guy. Contrary to the reports out there, I have no master plan to present to anyone today. This is an opportunity for us to continue to gather information. This is Ryan Poles last week. Learn about the different players in the draft, listen to what opportunities could come up. And then at the end of the day, we're going to make the best decision that we can for the Chicago Bears. And that was his statement. So this is where we get into some of the weirdness about what people are thinking about Caleb Williams right now. So the risk assessment on the quarterback. Number one, they say the risk is passing on the number one quarterback again. And now, is that a risk? And the question that you have to ask yourself is there some more upside to Justin Fields? I believe there is. I believe that Justin Fields gives this team the best opportunity to reach the Super Bowl next year. Are they a Super Bowl team? Nobody's a Super Bowl team until they get there. Everybody's just a potential playoff team to start the season, even the bad teams. But very quickly we find out a testament of who they are and what they're made of. So what we know right now is, in my opinion, Justin Fields gives the team the best chance to win right now. What I also know is that Kevin Warren probably doesn't give a shit about how good Ryan Poles is, and he doesn't care about Matt Eberflus either. He wants people who are committed to winning and to winning for the franchise and for the team to make getting this new stadium. He's got a job here, and I think he's trying to do his job. And if Ryan Poles can't do it, he'll get somebody who he can. I think that they're friends. I think they've become friends because of the job, but I don't know that he has to be here. So there's a very weird very weird dichotomy happening here between Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. I feel like he's under the gun, and Matt Eberflus is certainly under the gun. So they have every incentive right now to win at this moment and not build for a future that they may not be part of. That is my opinion. That is not factual. That's just my opinion of the situation. We saw a 7-10 team starting to get a little bit better. But if we don't allow it to play itself out, then we're just resetting the clock and we're just doing it over again. And that's stupid to me, but we'll see what happens. But the general sentiment of many of the combine are that the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams at number one. For the Bears not to take Williams, he would have to bomb the process, one scout said. That scout doesn't know what he's talking about. He just knows what his opinion would be. But that's not happening right now. One opposing coach whose team interviewed Williams says that he was impressed with how composed the presumptive number one pick was, though two evaluators said some teams left Indianapolis with lingering questions about him, and that's to be expected. Teams are still gathering more information. Most of the concern remains off the field with Williams, who met with the Bears on Wednesday night. That included George McCaskey and Kevin Warren. Some league sources specifically questioned how the Bears as an organization would navigate everything that comes with a quarterback such as Caleb Williams. He's not your typical rookie draft pick because of his significant NIL deals, tendency to buck trends, and long-time marketing team. As one league source said, just check out his website. He's already made millions. He is a business into himself. Williams' ability to handle the pressure and scrutiny he'd face from Chicago and fans was mentioned, and the Bears would have to be confident in his mental makeup and toughness. Does he have it up here? A quarterback coach said, pointing to his head. Chicago is going to eat him up. So there's a lot of people who are nervous about Caleb Williams coming to Chicago, that he's not going to be able to handle the pressure. Also, he's Washington kid. Washington is his home. So regardless of what Williams told ESPN or said during his media combine session about playing for the Bears, one league source familiar with Williams said that there should be some concern that he and his father, Carl, could become infatuated with the idea of him playing for the Washington Commanders as the long pre-draft process plays out. The Commanders should have as many interactions with Williams as the Bears have had with him. At that very least, it's something to watch given how much time remains before the draft. He's a Washington kid, and it's his home. He wants to go home. On the other hand, everything that Chicago offers as a market could be extremely appealing. So there isn't another market like it in the NFL. In that regard, one quote from Williams' media session at the Combine stands out. I don't compare myself to the other guys that are there or that have been there. I think I'm my own player. I tend to like to create and rewrite history. While one scout notes his 33 fumbles in 31 college starts. By the way, for all of you Caleb Williams Maxey, 33 fumbles in 31 college starts. So if the reason that you don't want Justin Fields is because Justin Fields fumbles the ball, you're about to get the king of fumble Ruski. You're about to get their king right now by bringing in Caleb Williams. And look, the NFL defenses are going to eat that shit up, and he's going to be fumbling a lot, especially it doesn't matter what his makeup is. He fumbles a lot. So does Justin Fields. So if the entirety of your reason for I don't like Justin Fields is because he turns the ball over too much, join the club because it's Club Caleb. So there's no difference there, despite that you guys continue to pretend that there was. 33 fumbles, 31 college starts. The consensus from league sources is there's no questioning his talent, but issues raised about his style of play will turn into praise for one executive who said that he's highlighted by the rare ability to change his arm angles. Um, and also his quick release. Now, those are fair, and that he's got a pretty high ceiling, some people say. He went on to lay out the best scenario for Caleb Williams, which would be a veteran locker room in which he wouldn't necessarily have to come in and be in charge. The Bears hope they have that with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and their leaders on defense. So now let's talk about Justin real quick. One scout said, Justin's going to be gone. The writing's on the wall. It's just time to move on, an executive said. But those evaluators and others still had questions about Field. His ability to process and slow release were mentioned several times, including by a quarterback's coach. And this is fair, by the way. It is fair to say that he's not getting rid of the ball fast enough. So that is true. The Bears deserve plenty of blame for why things didn't work out with Fields. The executive still felt it was important to consider what happened to Fields during his rookie season with Matt Nagy. It simply wasn't a good situation for a young quarterback. And then the Bears fired Nagy and Ryan Pace. So with Poles and coach Matt Eberflus, the Bears didn't provide him much help in his second season. It was also the first year of the Poles teardown of Pace's roster. The Bears had significant amount of dead money on the books, but many around the league still expected Fields to improve considerably in his third season. And look, there's an argument here that it is possible that he did improve quite a bit because look, he balled out. Other than Cleveland at the end of the season, uh, Justin Fields basically had a really good close to his year, going 5-3. And look, that's a playoff level team. That's an 11 win. If you just look at it, it's an 11 win team. So that's what it looks like. The Bears roster was considered better, but Fields failed to make a leap forward. But that's also not true because every statistic said that he was better, except release time. And also, Luke Getsy was trying to build something that Justin was not, and that's a shame for Luke Getsy. That is a real shame that Luke Getsy did not recognize and realize, what he needed to do for that. So the league view of Getsy is generally positive. His recent interviews and eventual hiring by the Las Vegas Raiders were considered a sign of that. Eberflus highlighted Getsy's leadership abilities during his news conference. Now, that goes back to the question, if he was great, why'd you get rid of him? Unless you were trying to keep Justin. That's a logical assumption. And thank you for the $10 bomb. We got Chicago Sports Talk Michael in the house. Also, they don't want Justin Fields because he has 10 career wins. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams didn't win a lot of college games. Well, here's the thing. I think, look, when you compare stats, and I did this, by the way, if you didn't watch it, I would suggest, and I would ask you to go check out my video that I did comparing the quarterbacks last Friday. And in it, what I really did is I showed you the stats between all of these guys. I showed you Caleb Williams. I showed you Drake May. I showed you Jaden Daniels. I showed you JJ McCarthy. And then I showed you Justin Fields. And then you look at it and you're like, oh my God, Justin Fields just really didn't do good. Then I showed you Justin Fields' college stats and how much better he was than all of them. So, so that's, you know what I mean? Like Justin Fields was underserved by Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy, by the way, I mean, the guy is look. Justin Fields had a 112 quarterback rating in his first quarter. A 112 quarterback rating in the first quarter of your game. That's a fantastic way to start your games. A 91 rating in the second quarter means that the Bears had plenty of opportunities, and 5 times the Bears were in the lead going into the second half, and they lost games. If they didn't lose those 5 games, and they had just done a decent job of 3-2, they just done a decent job of 3-2, the Bears would be a playoff team and Green Bay would not. Simple. It's simple. So there were a few mistakes that were made, and it should have been more Justin, and it should have been allowing him to become a playmaker. By the way, new stuff up here that I'm hanging up. I'm trying to fill this wall up over the next bunch of days. But anyway, the point is, these guys, you bring in Shane Waldron, and you bring in Thomas Brown, You bring in Kerry Joseph, like you're trying to do something with a quarterback and you're trying to get it ready to go. And it just doesn't make any sense because if you wanted that drop back guy, you got him in Caleb Williams. You wanted that guy, you got him in Caleb Williams. Why would you get rid of Luke Getsy? Right? There we go. So um, you know, and like Kenneth Kellett says, please stop cherry picking stats. Overall, Fields was rated 32nd in the league, and stats do not lie. That is exactly right. So, Kenneth, I would ask you, why would you want somebody who's fumbled 33 times in 31 games? Why would you want to turn the ball over that many times? So if you can answer that logically, because here it is right here. Caleb Williams had 33 fumbles in 31 college starts, which means he's going to continue turning the ball over. So if you thought that you were going to get Caleb Williams and he was just going to lead your team to victory, he's just going to fumble it away. I mean, he's just going to fumble it away. He's going to get his hands stripped constantly. He's going to turn the ball over repeatedly, and we're not going to be better than we were before. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that Caleb Williams is not going to be a good, that it doesn't mean that he's not going to be a good guy. But the point is, yeah, it's wild. Rice Reed says Caleb Williams was 2-9 versus ranked team in college. His good stats were against bottom 10 pass defenses. And there you go. This is where it gets difficult. He's not really an EV Warrior. Caleb hasn't had one NFL snap. You got to give him a chance. LOL. An EV Warrior, I would ask you, does coming to the NFL change your fumbles? It doesn't. He still fumbles the ball constantly. Like that's the point. He still fumbles constantly. And it could be, by the way, a process of, let's call that a toss up between the two. Let's call that a toss up between the two of them, right? And if that is a toss up, then let's go look. Caleb Williams has a faster release. That is fair. Caleb Williams had, I want to say 35 touchdowns, like 4 interceptions. By the way, there was one season where in college where Justin Fields had 40 and 3. So he had more touchdowns, fewer turnovers. This is not a real comparison that we're having. When we go to the college stats, Caleb Williams is basically a chump compared to what Justin Fields was doing. And that's true, by the way. It's not even, it's kind of close. If you want to squint real hard, it's kind of close, but Justin Fields was balling out in college in a way that Caleb Williams never did. By the way, Justin Fields was beating top-ranked teams as well, while Caleb Williams just can't beat top-ranked teams. So there is some, like you can have your arguments, but again, like most of you guys will say, when you're a kid, when you're a Justin Fields fan, you're just cherry picking whatever stats you want. Yeah, so are you, baby. So put your diaper down or put your diaper up, whatever, and deal with it like for real. You just really have an opinion here. I don't think that's true, Eric. I don't think that Luke Getsy wanted Justin Fields to fail. He wanted him to just do what he wanted him to do, and Caleb and Justin Fields couldn't do that drop back game. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have that he just didn't, he wasn't the drop, he wasn't the prototype for what he wanted. Kirk Cousins, by the way, Luke Getsy would do a fantastic job with somebody like a Kirk Cousins, or he did a great job with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably called his own plays, but you get my point. Like I think that with somebody who's just a prototypical drop back guy that doesn't need to create, then he probably has a great, he probably has and you know what? I don't know. Here's the thing. Like Sant Fam actually brings up a good point. Caleb's fumbles versus Fields' accuracy. But the thing is, Fields also fumbles. So Caleb's accuracy versus Fields' accuracy, because the fumbles, they still have the fumbles. So, I mean, I'm not making, because I don't want to say that, I don't want to say that Caleb Williams is not a good guy. I mean, he might be our quarterback. So, it's very possible that what we're doing is just talking about, some guys that are, it's very possible that he's the guy. So, you know what I mean? And that's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Getsy, but here's the thing, Getsy he had a 112 offense QBR in that first quarter from scripting plays. Getzey understood who his opponent was, and he understood what he needed to do in order to win these games. He didn't do a fantastic job of coaching his quarterback. I mean, that should be the fair part. That should be the fair part. Um, if we're gonna stick with Justin Fields, you know what I mean. But it's all subjective at this point. We can see the talent from Justin Fields. We can see the talent from Caleb Williams. We can actually see against horrible teams. Caleb Williams looks like a superstar. We can see when they have a good team, like let's call it Notre Dame. He has 3 interceptions and loses the game and cries. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference here. These two guys are built different. Justin Fields is actually made for Chicago, and Larry says I won't address my point. So your excuse was the roster failed Fields, but that excuse isn't good for Caleb. What an absolute joke you are. Well, if that's the case, then why the fuck are we having this debate? Why aren't we just sticking with Justin Fields? Otherwise, it's just down to your opinion. You just want more fumbles on the team. I mean, if that's what you want, cool. Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, Mitchell Trubisky did take the team to the playoffs. Or let's say that he was. There were. I swear, some people listen. You know what they do, man. And he's funny, man. He's a funny guy. He doesn't like. I don't know if I banned him here either. By the way, he was annoying as shit. Then he came in with alts. But anyway, let me move on here because I'm having too much fun. Like putting red noses on some of you guys. Look, here's the thing. If you don't like Justin Fields, nothing I say is going to change you. Mike Jameson says that Tyson Bagent is better than Justin Fields. No, he's not. However, he did make quicker reads. So, if you take that into the equation, then, no. But here's the thing. Let me move on here. And let me get to the next point here, because the next point was Steelers might be left as a default front runner for Justin Fields. Now, this is the way the news, by the way, is breaking itself out. The way the news is breaking itself out is that the Atlanta Falcons are now looking at Kirk Cousins, Raiders future quarterback, Raiders. And the Raiders were looking to All right, so it looks like the Raiders are actually in on Jaden Daniels and are looking to make moves to get to pick Jaden Daniels. So that's what we should be looking for from the Raiders coming up. And I think the Raiders had like the 8 pick or something like that. So we'll see what they do, but it looks like they're trying to make a move to get into that area to get Jaden Daniels. So why would they want Justin Fields? Which means the Steelers become the default team. So this is the narrative that's playing out right now, right in front of you guys, is that all of a sudden nobody wants to talk about Justin Fields. But Ryan Poles spent all week shopping Justin Fields around. Now, tell me that makes sense. It makes no sense at all, right? So there should be uh, there there should be maybe a little consideration that we all might be getting played just a little bit by Ryan Poles, and he's trying to find a way to get the maximum result out of that number 1 draft pick, and it's not Caleb Williams. Anyway, so let's move on here because we got the NBC mock draft. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. NBC Sports Chicago. Josh Schrock, you should be ashamed of yourself. Jesus fucking Christ. This is horrible. I can't even tell you how wild this thing is to me. And by the way, I don't know exactly how he did it. And Brian says Bagent can be a career backup, spot starter in the league. Think Gardner Minshew with some speed. In fact, I think that Tyson Bagent could be a better quarterback and a starter in the NFL. But making the leap from Division 2 to Division 1 itself is hard enough, especially into elite. Like you can't move from a D2 into the SEC and have a lot of success because you're playing people who are just way faster. Everything increases. But imagine going from D2 all the way up to the NFL. Like his reaction times, everything about Tyson Bagent reeks of slowness still. Not that he won't turn into a monster. Like that's the thing for me is I think Tyson Bagent, by the way, and you will, if you go back and look at some of my older videos, and you will see that I was all in on Tyson Bagent uh when he was first starting, because I thought, you know what? I mean, this guy is actually making some good reads. He's making some good throws. Maybe, just maybe, this guy is made for this. But he's just not ready. He's just not even close to ready. He needs more time playing against NFL caliber people, and he would need at least 2 seasons of starting to get in that role. And he would need to be developed to read faster. And his arm strength is really bad. There's no way that arm strength that bad is going to succeed in the NFL. So there are some limitations, and we'll see how they progress. I mean, it might not be so bad later on. It just is for right now. But I think Tyson I love Tyson Bagent. Matter of fact, I reached out to him and I asked him for an interview. So we'll see how that goes. We might have him on the channel at some point soon. We'll see. So anyway, on the NBC mock draft, this turd burglar here, Jesus fucking Christ. Round 1, they took Caleb Williams, quarterback for USC, and blah, 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 blah. But then here's what they did. God damn it. This is just driving me out of my mind. So they traded down the number 9 pick, and the Bears got the number 20 pick and the number 52 pick. And he says the best case scenario for the Bears is for Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors to fall to number 9. I have a hard time seeing that happen. If it does, I think the Bears will jump at the chance to grab an elite pass catcher. If all 3 top receivers are off the boards, the Bears can look to slide down and add much needed day 2 draft capital. Poles moves down 11 spots and replenishes the second round pick he surrendered for Montez Sweat. And that's what happened there. So now on round 1 with pick number 20, he took Adonai Mitchell from Texas, wide receiver. Size, speed, and ball skills. Mitchell has all the tools to become a top-tier pass catcher in the NFL. The Texas product is still putting it all together, but performed well at the combine, posting a 4.3440 with a 39.5-inch vertical, which is, by the way, not as good as Xavier Worthy, but here we are picking Xavier Worthy's the other guy on the team, as opposed to Xavier Worthy, who is now like a record-setting speed demon. Mitchell has an instant catch radius and is proficient at breaking tackles and racking up yards after the catch. Good receiver, by the way. I did say that this is a very strong receiving, but we're all the way down at this point to Adonai Mitchell, who we've not even had discussions about at this point. So this is something radical. And then the Bears at this point, they're going to make him a good number 2. Okay. So now we're talking about trading Justin Fields, and they're going to trade Justin Fields for a 3rd round pick, number 74 overall, and a 2025 4th round pick. And then the Falcons receive Justin Fields, but it's already out because the Falcons have made it known Kirk Cousins is their guy. Wild. This is absolutely wild. But then with the round 2 selection, they pick Roman Wilson, wide receiver out of Michigan. Now listen, so far, we've picked a quarterback and 2 wide receivers, and the wide receivers are, look, I don't want to call them second rate, by the way. I don't want to say that at all. Okay. But they're not the stars of this draft. It's wild that we're having this conversation. But we got Roman Wilson out of Michigan. And by the way, I did say that I think, that's maybe a slot guy. That's, this guy has some opportunity if you go down in the draft and pick him as as a spot guy or as a slot man. There's some possibilities, and he won a national title. So I'm not mad at this selection, but I am mad at that number 20 versus number 9. And then in round 3, Cedric Van Pran, which is the center out of Georgia. Georgia center reminds scouts of Lloyd Cushenberry. He has strong hands, good quickness, and the special type of nasty that the Bears prioritize in an offensive lineman. And he's been in our draft a couple times. We took him a few times. Then in round 3 at number 75, they take Brandon Dorlus, defensive lineman out of Oregon. Don't like this guy, but not, look, it's their choice. Not round 4, Cade Stover. Round 4, Cooper Beebe, which we've ended up taking him once. Isaac Garendo, which, by the way, is one of the fastest running backs. He posted a 4.43 40-yard with a 41.5 vertical and a 10'9" broad jump. He's from Louisville. However, he spent most of his career in Wisconsin before coming to Louisville last season. And if you want to go look at what Ike Garendo is all about, go look at some Louisville tape. of Isaac Guerrero. Man, this guy is a fantastic runner, but he's not going to pop into the starting role, but he would be a good backup just in case, you might lose Khalil Herbert this year, going into 2025. So it would be good to have somebody who can, who can, break tackles. And Garendo is one of those guys. So, not horrible, but I'm not a fan of this draft. So overall, through 5 rounds, this is what we got. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks with Caleb Williams. So that's what they came up with. That was the best they could do. Which I say it that way, but not really. So then I did my own drafts. So let's talk about mine because mine are better. Um, Here's what I did. I took Caleb Williams. I did what they did in this context, right? I did Caleb Williams, and then I drafted down, but I couldn't get the 20. I got the 18, and then I got Xavier Worthy out of Texas. Then I got Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle. Then I got Kalen Bullock because now we need somebody there. Then we need Jonah Ellis, an edge rusher, and Jamari Thrash and Jordan Jefferson. Now I took Jamari Thrash because he was, I think he was like number 101, and I got him down at 123. I was able to reach the other way. And so this I don't feel good about. Like I didn't feel good about. And here's the thing: I couldn't find a center that fit my draft need. I couldn't, the best I could do was get a backup offensive tackle, a safety, an edge rusher who may or may not make the starting lineup, a wide receiver in Jamari Thrash, which I think Jamari Thrash is a great athlete. I'm just not sure if he's an NFL athlete, but he was the best one available at that point. He could ball out. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know. He had a great first start to his season. I watch all the Louisville games because I'm from Louisville, but and I watch all the games. And at the start of the season, he was great, but then he injured his hand, and then he was missing a lot of balls. So and then Jordan Jefferson. And to be fair, like out of my entire draft here, the only ones I felt good about were Caleb Williams, Kalen Bullock. And I really don't feel great about Caleb Williams. I just, he's number one guy, blah, 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 blah. But then Kalen Bullock and Jordan Jefferson. Xavier Worthy, fastest man ever at the combine, which is kind of cool. But, I don't know. But anyway, then I made another draft over here, and I tried to be more pure, and I didn't trade anything. And this is what it looked like. It was Caleb Williams. Dallas Turner is who I ended up getting at the edge rusher. So I feel better about this, by the way, just so you guys know. I felt way better about this draft than I did about the other one. So, but I took Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall, and then at number 9, I took Dallas Turner, edge rusher. That came out a lot better. And then Roman Wilson, which I think Roman Wilson is probably, again, he comes up a lot when you get into that 3rd round. You know what I mean? And then Braden Fisk over here at defensive tackle. And look, I don't know about you, but Braden Fisk is a monster. Okay. And he balled out at the combine. Tanner Bartolini still has short arms, but you know what I mean? So this, these have some possibilities here. And then Marshawn Lloyd, running back from USC, to fill in because again, at best we got Caleb Williams, we got Dallas Turner, Roman Wilson probably see some time. I don't know where Justin Jones' status is yet. We haven't done anything with him. But if the Braden Fisk looks like the opportune guy at that point or at that level, so maybe we'll see something. But look, this is what I would prefer to do. This is how I would prefer one of these drafts go. I'm going to give you what I think we should do. And this draft, by the way, has been updated. So it'll look a little bit different now because what they do is they update what happened here. So now with the Washington selection, they want to move up, and I would like to take this offer immediately. I would like to take that one, and they take Drake May, and I'm skipping Caleb Williams, by the way. I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Done. Now my wide receiver room is done. And then the number 9 pick, I'm going to keep that one. And I'm going to take Brock Bowers. My defense is now done, or my offense is now complete for the most part. I still need a center, but I think I've done pretty good here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this trade right here, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of positivity on that one. And then we're going to reject this, and we're going to reject this. And we're going to take Darius Robinson, again, edge rusher who balled out So we're going to take him, and then we're going to reject this. And we're going to reject this, and we're going to take Zach Frazier, which is the second best center in the draft. So I already feel better about my selections here because I'm locked in, by the way. It is in part because I'm locked into some of these guys that I think would be an opportune uh, uh, pickup, if you will. Um, but I mean, you can see right here, we got Marvin Harrison, Brock Bowers, Darius Robinson, Zach Frazier, and I feel really good about each one of these. Then we move on to Michael Hall Jr. You got a defensive tackle because we do need a defensive tackle. And then we need that backup wide receiver, Roman Wilson, done. Now, for the rest of this draft, we're looking at building strength. So, what do we need here? We're going to need one running back, which um, I've got so far: wide receiver, tight end, edge rusher, center, defensive tackle, and wide receiver. Now, I would like to be able to get a safety. I'm a little bit out on a limb here. I don't like the safeties that are available down to Thomas Harper. I'm not a fan. So I do feel like we're going to need something somewhere. So I'm going to take Blake Corum, running back out of Michigan, and then I'm going to focus the rest of it on um, Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo. We're going to go with Mekhi Wingo, defensive tackle out of LSU. So now we've got plenty of tackles. We've got plenty of depth at tackle. Offense, now we're going to look at some guards. We want Brandon Coleman out of TCU. I like this guy, big guy, good blocker. So we're going to move down just a little bit more. And by the way, I've in many different ways, I have drafted down and down and down and down and down until I got this up to like $25 million salary cap. All right, there we go. So we got 9 selections out of this. We got Marvin Harrison Jr. with the number 2 pick, and then we got Brock Bowers at tight end, and then we got Darius Robinson as the edge rusher, Zach Frazier as the center, Michael Hall. You know what? Let's pop this up. I took Marvin Harrison, Brock Bowers, Darius Robinson, Zach Frazier, Michael Hall, Roman Wilson, Blake Corum, Mekhi Wingo, and Brandon Coleman. So I feel like I was able to fix the center position. So let's just say the center position was a problem with Lucas Patrick. I think that Zach Frazier might be able to fix that. And I needed also somebody to replace Cody White here, which is Brandon Coleman. A work in progress. I don't know if he's going to get some play time or not, but and he'll be a work in progress at the number 123 pick, I think. But Marvin Harrison, game changer. Brock Bowers, game changer. Brock Bowers does everything that you want from a tight end. So, you know, just makes sense to just take those guys. You got them for 4 years. Really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at this point who your quarterback is. You know, even if Justin Fields makes not as fast a decision as you would like, this still represents a dramatic upgrade to the people around him, just in case you've decided that he's going to be your guy, right? So Darius Robinson, edge rusher, he was supremely talented, showed out at the at the combine. Now, is he an everyday sort of guy? I don't know that. I know that he showed some dynamic talent. I don't know if Eric Washington gets that dynamic talent out of Darius Robinson. I'm taking a shot here. I really am taking a shot that maybe he's going to push immediately for playtime with DeMarcus Walker's probably the likely starter. Yannick Ngakwe's probably gone. He's a little bit too expensive to keep around. Then you got Michael Hall, defensive tackle, and Mekhi Wingo, defensive tackle. So you've got some young Justin Jones is gone, of course. In this scenario, Justin Jones is going to be gone. So you're going to put Gervon Dexter in the left defensive tackle position with oh my God, Andrew Billings. And then you've got a backup in Andrew Pickens. And that leaves you 2 defensive tackles. These guys cover that. And you might even cut one of these guys if need be. So that feels like a pretty good that feels like a pretty good defensive tackle room to improve on. So if Andrew Billingsley and Gervon Dexter come up the way that they should or could, then this is great. Roman Wilson then becomes like your slot guy because let's face it, this you're not going to get Darnell Mooney back, not for the amount of money that he wants. He wants $13 million a year, and he deserves $13 million a year because he's played like it. So he can't come back. Equinemius St. Brown can probably come back. He'll probably be he'll probably be some uh, spot, a spot receiver, or there in case of injury, stuff like that. Tyler Scott still going to be here for a while, and I'm going to be interested to see what the Bears do in the wide receiver room, how to get these guys better. And then you have, of course, Brandon Coleman and Blake Corum. I don't think Blake Corum is loading up to be a superstar, but he is a solid running back. He won a national title. He's a starter. That does matter. So getting him in the third round, probably a pretty decent get. So there we have it. That's what I did. That's what I got. What do you guys think? I know. And by the way, if you're a Caleb fan, then you don't like this because I didn't take I didn't take Caleb Williams. If you want a change at quarterback and you really don't care who it is, you just want to change, you probably don't like this as well, because this is really kind of relying on going one more year with Justin Fields. And by the way, for those of you that don't tune in every day, that didn't know, the reason that I don't really care too much about, I like Justin Fields, by the way, but the reason that it doesn't matter to me whether Justin Fields is 1 year or not at this point is because, if you can get some draft capital and you can get some number one, if you can do some trading and get some first round selections for the next leg of this, if you will, if you can get something going on there, then it is possible that you can get Shadur Sanders or Drew Aller. So you're going to get a good quarterback to begin with, or you're going to have Dak Prescott out there who's a free agent. That's a big, tough guy who would kind of fit well with Chicago. Or Trevor Lawrence will be an unrestricted free agent. Doesn't mean they're not going to re-sign with their teams. Like, some of these guys will re-sign before it's time, but these guys might want to test free agency and get the maximum amount possible. So I don't feel bad about quarterbacks going into next year. I feel really good about the position that we potentially have. You know what I mean? So we there are some potential situations in which I don't think that, that's what I say too. But here's the thing: at the 106 position, I needed a running back. Um, and I don't like. And if I'm gonna choose between people that I don't think are my guys, then I'm gonna take the guy who won a title. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna take the guy who knows how to win. Because here's the thing with Blake Corum: it doesn't matter if he ever sees the field or if he barely sees the field. He's a backup at this point. Khalil Herbert is your starter. Roshan Johnson is your backup. Travis Homer probably gone, but Blake Corum becomes that third running back. He might get forced into playing time. It's very possible that he gets put into, but he's also, the guy can play special teams as well. So there we go. We got a lot of potential situations. So there you have it. All right, guys. Whew, that's my time. It is time for me to go hit that gym and get swole, if you will. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I think that and the thing is, DJ, I don't think you can win. It's hard to win every time on this draft. I'll tell you what: if you take Caleb Williams as your first pick and you don't get a game-changing wide receiver at that 9 pick, now Brock Bowers, that does change things, I think, in my opinion. But if you don't get at least a Hall and you only get 6 of these players, man, like, it feels empty. And then, like, in my draft here, just to clarify here, in my draft here, we got Washington's number 1 pick for next year. I don't know how good Washington's going to be or not. They're going to have a brand new coach. They have a brand new squad. They're probably not going to do great. They're probably not going to crush it, but it's all, who knows, right? So we'll see what happens. But it's all subjective until we get to the point where we're making the select. Until we're getting closer to the selection time. And by the way, we didn't get into it today because there's not a whole lot of time, or I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I already had this planned out. But free agency, um, free agency, um, yeah. I remember who won Heisman trophies, but Heisman Trophy winners are not largely successful NFL quarterbacks. Some of them are good. Like Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback. I'm a Louisville fan, so I love Lamar Jackson. But like, man, Jesus Christ, like when the game is on the line, he does not come through. They've been to the playoffs a couple of different times, and he has underperformed dramatically. And he's a Heisman Trophy winner. Baker Mayfield, same thing. Johnny Manziel. Didn't Johnny Manziel win one? Didn't Kyler Murray win one? What the fuck are any of these guys doing? Ooh, don't get me started on Tebow. God damn it, man. Look, for the rest of my life, I'm not a religious person. Okay, so I don't, Tebow and I probably never sit down and have a drink or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person. But I love Tim Tebow and the passion that he brought to football, and the fact that he was a winner, and that no matter what, he found ways to win games. And I think the NFL knows better than me, right? They know that that Tim Tebow is going to get destroyed at some point. That they know that he probably can't handle the NFL in the long term. So they made a decision earlier than I think a lot of us fans wanted to see. And then he just didn't really get an opportunity to show what he could do. And that's unfortunate because I love Tim Tebow. But, it is what it is, I guess. So, but I am a fan of Tim Tebow, and, it absolutely sucked. He's got a national championship ring. He got a national championship ring. So that's something. It's not nothing. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. The best thing you can do, by the way, subscribe to the channel, share me with as many people as you can. Remind people, talk to people, tell people that Bleeves is out here with the Chicago Bearscast every day at 9:30, giving you all the news, all the information that you need for the Chicago Bears. And let me know, my email is in the description down below. If there's another sport that you think we should cover here, I am wanting to expand and kind of branch out. Maddie, my partner here, Maddie, she works for the Sox on 35th. So if you know Maddie, then she's she does White Sox stuff, and I don't know if it's I don't know if that's the thing, or I don't know. Anyway, maybe we'll do all kinds of Chicago Bears news and stuff like that, and get a little bit of something in here just so everybody knows what's going on, so that we're like your one-stop shop for all things Chicago. But that's something for another time. Let me know what you think anyway. And remember to bear down, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.
I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting silent.